breaking news, Justin. Our team is in place, and here's what we're following. At this hour in downtown New Orleans, a federal indictment is being read in federal court against New Orleans Mayor Cantrell and her former bodyguard, NOPD officer Jeffrey Vappy.
Oh, when the chickens come home to roost. Say it ain't so. It's the first woman I named the OG City Girl Mayor. You gotta put the OG on there because she's not new to this. That's New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell. She made history as the first black female mayor of New Orleans and the first woman ever to hold the position. And now she's making history once again. OG City Girl Mayor Cantrell is the first ever sitting mayor of New Orleans to be indicted while in office. I mean, she's months away from wrapping up her final term and the feds swooped right down on her head. Just then, she was indicted and she's not alone. The feds got her janky, dirty cop boyfriend too. Remember the one from First 48? I told y'all about him a long time ago. He was cheating on his wife, creeping around with the OG City Girl Mayor, who was also married at the time. I've been covering this for years. Mayor Cantrell cheated on her husband. Her side dude's wife found out, put them on blast, had their business all out in the streets, divorced him. The next thing you know, Mayor Cantrell's husband ended up dead, which I still believe, as I said at the time, was very mysterious. His death was not investigated properly, so no one ever knew what happened. The mayor had the whole police department in her pants pocket. That's why it took the feds to swoop down in New Orleans to hold this crooked, combative, scamming OG City Girl Mayor accountable. We're going to get into it, but first, take a second to make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click the notification bell for all updates. Won't waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
So we're working to get more details. Meg Gatto, John Snell, our legal analyst Joe Responti joining us. So what does this mean when you get an indictment? It basically means a grand jury has seen evidence presented by federal prosecutors, and based on what they saw, they believe a crime has been committed. And this is not the first time we've seen these two high-profile names, guys.
And I think the interesting thing here is that it's mentioning Joe Responti, both the mayor and Jeffrey Vappy, which I don't want to get ahead of what we know, but that raises the possibility of perhaps a superseding indictment since he had already been indicted.
Right. If Jeffrey Vappy is getting new counts against him, it is most probably what's known as a superseding indictment, which will follow his original indictment to that section of court. And if she is a co-defendant with him, it's all going in the same car.
So for background, and not to make this too confusing, this is the case in which he had been working or claiming time as the mayor's bodyguard when in fact federal prosecutors were alleging that he had a personal relationship with the mayor. It was noteworthy at the time that the mayor had not been indicted in that case. This could imply that now she has been added in somehow and into that alleged conspiracy.
Right. We'll see which format, if any, they use, whether or not she's going to be named, if she is named, if there are other defendants possibly named with her and Vappy. So let's just wait and see what the indictment says.
Well, I was going to say, Joe, I think it's important to point out we do not know the specifics yet of what is in this federal indictment. Just to kind of explain how this all works, a federal grand jury made up of about 16 to 23 people from the 13 parishes surrounding Lake Pontchartrain. They have been meeting for months going over evidence in this case. They took a vote today and they decided to return this federal indictment. What happens then is the grand jurors, they actually leave the courtroom and the foreperson goes with federal prosecutors to the magistrate judge. That is what is happening right now as we speak, and we are learning that this indictment has been handed up. A little bit later is when we will get a copy of the indictment to find out what exactly is in there, what are the charges. It'll lay out some of the details of this case. What are some of the charges that the mayor and Vappy, who was already indicted in July of last year, but again named today in this indictment, what some of the charges are that they face.
And in a case like this, you're probably wondering, well, what comes next? As Meg just laid out, it's called a bill of information, and that's what we're waiting to get all these details from to find out.
No, not necessarily. A bill of information sometimes would imply in the federal system that there's a guilty plea. So this would just be a regular indictment.
This is an indictment.
So there's no
indictment. Right. A grand jury generates an indictment. The U.S. attorney generates a bill of information. This is an indictment, a bill of indictment, because it came from the grand jury.
But I think, to Liz's point, Joe, it's important out of fairness here to mention that the standard is a lot different when it comes to an indictment or a charge than it is for a jury. So here you have one of the things the judge asked was, were there 16 grand jurors present? Did at least 12 vote for the indictment? Walk us through, if you could, the difference, the standard between, yes, there's enough evidence here to bring charges, and later at trial, the burden that prosecutors will face.
Well, that's right. I mean, and there's different things, and in state versus federal, you have different things. We have a preliminary hearing in both of these, which is a probable cause hearing. There are lesser standards at this time. If and when this goes to a jury trial, they have to meet the highest standard, which is guilt beyond a reasonable doubt of every element of the crime that she would be convicted of, he or she was convicted of.
Because this is a one-sided, this is just the prosecutors presenting their evidence to the grand jury members. The people who this is about, in this case, the mayor and Jeffrey Vappie, do not have a chance to present their side of the story.
Absolutely not. That's correct. That is correct. But what happens is, the prosecutor goes in there, the old saying, you can indict a ham sandwich, you've heard that. That's because they're just pitching their side of it.
And this is video, by the way, of the prosecution team as they arrived this morning at federal court to present the case.
Jordan Ginsburg, Nick Moses, and others to go present the case to the grand jury. Now, understand, they have probably been presenting evidence and witnesses for some time to this grand jury, and today was the day. They're just wrapping things up to say, this is what we're going to present, get the signatures, and go in front of the federal magistrate.
Why do you suppose it took so long? I mean, we've been dealing with this, for justice kind of moves a little slowly, but we've been dealing with this story now for the better part of 2 years.
People have been asking me that question all the time, as if I know. There's a big piece of this puzzle that is missing, is all I'm going to say. Because it would appear back when Vappie and Mr. Farrell were initially indicted on their separate things, they had language in it which I call a speaking indictment, which clearly implicated the mayor, clearly implicated her in a quid pro quo, and you don't do the quid without the quo. And so now we're finally getting the second shoe dropping. Why it took so long, I do not know.
A lot of people are still asking why it took so long. We've been talking about this for a couple of years. Well, you're dealing with the feds and a mayor, so there's a lot of investigating involved. They had to get it right. But for those wondering if the OG city girl mayor of New Orleans will make it out of office unscathed, you got your answer today. She's going down along with her police officer boyfriend. As I mentioned before, he was cheating on his wife with Cantrell while Cantrell was cheating on her husband. It was very messy. His wife ended up divorcing him, and Cantrell's husband, he ended up with a mysterious death. I really hope that's being investigated too. No details released yet, so we're not sure what the charges are. I'm going to assume though it's not related to her husband. It's probably got to do with all the other corruption, including all that tricking OG city girl Cantrell was doing on her married police officer side dude. More information is going to come, and you better believe I have the update. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss the updates on OG city girl mayor Cantrell. Gotta shout out Charles H. and Creed. You can show your support as well. The link to PayPal is below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to like and share.